ready?
Let's go.
Let's do it. Welcome everybody to the Sports Wrap. Third week in a row on Zoom. We're trying to stay healthy and stay safe, and hope everything's going well with you, George.
Everything's going very well. We're all we're doing about is as well as can be. You know, when I was at sea when I was a kid, it was a lot like this because you can't get off this ship, and it's just someday it'll pull up to a dock and I'll be able to take a walk. Sue's been kind of after me. You know, if you go outside a little bit, walk around, see what's going on, maybe that'll help. But who's to say? I haven't seen it happen yet.
Sure. So, well, let's start with some college basketball this week. And I assume you watched the Gophers the other night against Boston College?
I did watch the Gophers, but there was a lot of good basketball game on. I mean, this ACC Big Ten Challenge, my eyes were blurry at the end of the night. But, you know, I haven't seen Duke get beat up in a long time by anybody. And knowing that that's going to be the next opponent after tonight for the Gophers, I wanted to get a good look and make sure that that they weren't worse than I thought. They're not.
I was very happy to see Duke lose, of course.
Yes.
I used to be a big Duke fan, but I don't like how Krzyzewski's been doing things of recent years. And I think I found it interesting that yesterday he came out and said we probably shouldn't be playing during the pandemic.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? I thought about that.
And then the big thing that happened today was the head coach at Alabama called him out on it and said the only reason why he doesn't is the reason why he doesn't want to play because he doesn't have a very good basketball team.
No, you don't want to say that. But
that is exactly what I thought when he said it yesterday. And I thought that takes guts for a head coach from another major college basketball team,
especially somebody that's been he's been running this track for a long time, and you know he's not always going to have a national championship, and that's just kind of the way he's pegged in there, and it's really too bad. On the other hand, I don't know, he could be right. So there's
he definitely could be right on that. There's no doubt about that. So, of all those ACC and Big Ten games from the last couple of nights, which one was your favorite?
Well, I liked the Ohio State Notre Dame game. That was a pretty fun game, and I haven't watched Ohio State play this year, and so you know when they grabbed them and give them a little shake there, that one went over pretty good. Let me see, what was the other one? Indiana and Florida State. Now I hated
it was a great one. It was a great game.
It was a great game. I mean, and I thought Indiana had him towards the end, but I'll tell you, it only takes 3.5 seconds to get up and down that court, and it's.
It looked to me like Indiana got a little tight, like they. I don't want to use the word choke because I don't think they choked because you're on the road, you're playing at Florida State that has been very, very good at home. But
I think they missed a free throw in there that was a clutch, and besides, a good team has to be taught how to win. And in Indiana, I think they're going to be just fine. But down there, it would have been nice to knock those guys off. That's for sure.
I didn't obviously when the Gopher game was on. I didn't watch a lot of Iowa, North Carolina, but the thing that shocked me about the Iowa Carolina game was Garza didn't have a big night.
No, we didn't.
But Iowa beat North Carolina, and North Carolina is not the North Carolina of old, but they beat them, I thought, rather convincingly. Every time Carolina tried to make a run at them, Iowa just squashed them. So Iowa, I don't think is as good as 3 or 4 or 5 in the nation, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe they really are.
They really could be right because the other ones came to play, and they had 5 guys in the court most of the night, and that's kind of the way you beat these good teams. And so, but I knew that they're going to be good. They got the big guy right now. He rules the Big Ten, and there's some other ones that are looking to do it too.
So we've got Iowa at 3, Wisconsin at 4, Illinois at like 6, and Michigan State at like 7, 8, depending upon the poll. What the heck is going on, George?
I don't know.
I mean, I like Big Ten basketball to be good, but am I Are they getting over the hump? Are they able to compete with the ACC of the world? Do we have the right to say, hey, maybe they are the best conference in college
Well, you know,
basketball?
I kind of like to think like Big Ten basketball is a lot like Big Ten football. It's a clash game, and there's a lot of physicality to Big Ten basketball that maybe you don't see in some of the other conferences. On the other hand, they have speed and they can run that court and shoot. Holy cow, can they shoot? And it's so you know you have this combining situation, and I'm thinking about Monday. We've got Liam Robbins going against Kofi Cockburn, and we're going to see if we have a Big Ten center that can stand up to the punishment, because Kofi's going to be right there. I mean, you should have seen him against Duke. There was nobody that was out rebounding him. There was nobody that could outbox him out. I mean, he's just a specimen, period.
Well, you know, like I said, I want to say I wish that the Gophers had some of that shooting, because Gabe's got, I was barking at the TV for him. Gabe, stop shooting the ball. Stop.
Yeah, he did. He's got a little paranoid, but did you notice who came off the bench?
Mr. Mashburn, I assume
Mr. Mashburn, Jamil Mashburn Jr., and he come on, he got 10. He got 10 points, he got 3 rebounds, he got 3 assists in 13 minutes. Now, I'm going to say some of those upperclassmen are going to take a look at that, and they're going to feel some of the heat. Now, Kelcher has always gone through this early stream. I'm not a shooter, I'm not a shooter, and he made it there by being a shooter. So I don't know what he has to do to work this out. And, you know, when I take a look at my stats down here, Brandon Johnson and Eric Curry might be able to come off. I mean, they're getting some good all-around scoring, at least, you know, 25, 15, 9, 9, and 6 on the top 5.
Well, and I think the big thing about this Gopher team, I said, I don't think they're earth shatterers. You know, they're 5-0, but I don't think, you know, they're going to beat Kansas City tonight and go 6-0. But they're not they might be only the 11th best team in the Big Ten, and that might put them as a bubble team. You know,
oh, you very well could be right.
It's kind of scary, but this team has got more depth than I've seen a Gopher team maybe ever.
When was the last time you saw 10 points come off the bench?
Yeah, it's a little scary, and it's great. I agree, and I think about Booth Koch. I mean, the Gophers might not be in the top 11 if they didn't have him. I don't know what would happen. Marcus Carr the last couple of games has been a little shaky. Is that the right word? Slow starting?
Well, he has, but he sure has picked it up. You know, like the second half, he was the dominant guy on the court against Boston, and the other one that's coming off, of course, is Booth Koch. You know, he's not that tall. He's not that tall. He's 6'6", 6'7", but boy, does he have some leap in him, and he is not afraid to go to the basket. He's pretty fearless. He gets whapped to the ground. He picks himself up with a smile on his face. I think the kid's is sitting in a right spot. Also, I saw Robbins play a better game defensively, and he's going to be one of the better block shoppers in the Big Ten. But he was, he's getting about 9 blocks a game, and that's covering the paint. Now his offensive boards and his defensive boards improved, but I think they can still get better. I mean, 8.5, 9.5, last year we were getting 16, 17. We're spoiled.
I'm always looking for more. He does all that stuff, but I want him to start making his free throws, because I hate a big guy that can't make his free throws. That's really not good.
No, you watch a basketball game with my wife, and the first thing she says, you have to make those free throws, and it's just she was around this house way too often when my daughter was playing. So, but like I say, they got 24 points off the bench, 10 from one alone. They haven't got that kind of scoring, all around scoring for a long time. And also if somebody gets hurt, we'll see what happens now. If Robbins goes down, I don't know who they're going to be able to cover the paint, but
Yeah, well, that would make things more interesting. And of
yeah,
course, Gonzaga, the number one team in the nation, they had to shut down for a couple of weeks.
they are.
Too many positive cases. I'll just give them time to rest up, right?
That's it. Well, and it's just this is what happens. It's the same way with Tampa Bay. They're coming in. They've had a week off, and the old Vikings, they've been banging their head for wins for several weeks here.
Do you even want to talk about that game from Sunday?
Oh yeah, but we'll save it for a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's some possibilities on that. For one thing, there's so many Gophers playing in that game. I want to keep an eye on them.
Yeah, there's plenty of action for Minnesota fans in that game. So, how about the Gopher women basketball last night? What do you? What do you glean from that? Other than we probably aren't in the top few teams of the Big Ten.
No, they it was good to see that they made the score a little bit more respectable. The first half, it was an embarrassment, and they got run right off the court. And I mean, out of the barn. Oh, we hate to see our teams get run out of the barn, and they did. And yeah. I looked at Lindsay, and I know she's going to go down as one of our great coaches. But this is just, I guess, kind of the way you have to get it together. Lose a few.
Well, and I don't think Michigan State is any slouch of a team. So no. I'm not ready to throw the team out with the bathwater here, but
well, they were bombing them from all over the court, and it was just like, ooh, they look so much faster, and they were hitting their threes. that helps.
Anything else about college basketball you want to discuss?
Let me just see here. I got my list of things. Kentucky's 1-3 after getting beat by Georgia Tech. I knew that would break your heart. I knew that was going to break your heart. And Duke being gone, and even Penn State won. It's one thing about the ACC Big Ten Challenge. You got to pull for all these teams you ain't going to pull for again the rest of the year. But it happens. One of the things now. Like I said, the Gophers between the 10th and the 31st play 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I said 5, 6 games. So they have 6 games between the 10th and the 31st, and that includes Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Iowa. 3 successive games, and they play St. Louis as well. And St. Louis, they come up with good teams. I don't know where they come from, but they always come up with somebody that can mess up your day.
Well, I'll tell you, the Gophers may not win after tonight. They may not win. They may not win another game in 2020.
Well, right now, when they go against Illinois and some of these are going to be when they play Illinois, that's going to be one of the toughest games they play all year.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to see just what it is, and I tell me, do you think it's good to play all the non-Power 5 teams?
I think yes, and to a certain point. I think you need to go play some of those schools because they give you an opportunity to play some of your kids and find out what kind of team you have. So you need those games.
Okay.
Kind of like that. It's kind of like preseason. You get a chance to run your kids out there and see what they do. And, they put the lights on and the TV cameras, and usually there's 14,000 people in the seats, and you see how your kid reacts.
Yeah.
Some kids don't react well in that situation. So.
Oh, I'd freak right out. No doubt about it. I'm not a performer, but there we are. No, there's some good things that are going on, and I don't know what Kansas City has for a team, but Minnesota will run up and down the court. But they're going to go from really, really mediocre competition right into the funhouse in Champaign.
Oh, yeah.
And, although they did perform well at Boston College, came back, and they were getting beat, and they came back and won the game, which was nice.
Yeah, they showed them. Like I said, I was about ready to turn the channel on and say, I'm done with this but they hung in there, did what they needed to do. NBA is getting closer and closer, and boy, if I hear one more positive story about the Timberwolves, I might honestly believe that they're going to do something this year.
Geez, some great pictures in the paper too. But then on the other hand, that's not points and rebounds, but they seem to be, I mean, Ricky Rubio coming back, and maybe they're going to get a fun group. Even the pros, they got to be having a good time. If they're always sitting there bickering, and I mean, you see LeBron's, he's fighting with guys that he played with 2-3 years ago. Well, what's that all about? You got to go in there and play and have a good time.
I think, well, him and Kyrie never got along. I mean, when they were, come on, it's not like it came out of left field or something like you didn't understand that it was going to happen. So, geez, I don't know. Let it go, but they got to have something to talk about on ESPN, right?
They do. So that's for sure.
Well, do you want to you want to talk about the Loons?
The Loons, yes, by all means. They went down to Kansas City and won.
They went down to Kansas City and won. It was a nice game. They played about as well as I think they could over that 10-minute stretch, 15-minute stretch. And hung on and did what they were supposed to do. Gave us a lot of confidence. And then they went out to Seattle on Monday, and they were up 2-0 with 70 minutes in, 74 minutes in, and everything looked good on the scoreboard. But Uncle Paul had texted me, and I told him, I said, we're getting pushed around. Seattle is getting opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. I thought, well, we'll hang on. Well, then they gave up the one in the 75th minute, and I'm like, 2-1, we're all right. And they get to the 89th minute, and I'm like, they're really putting the pressure on, and then the roof caved in. It went away, and it'd have been nice if they'd have been playing on Saturday for the championship game. But maybe we'll learn something from it, and we'll go on.
Maybe we can. Yeah,
it was exciting. Matter of fact, the game didn't start till almost 9:00 our time.
I know.
And I had a long day, and I'm like, I'm never going to make the end of this. Well, of course, once we got up 1-0, 2-0, it was like, okay, I'm into this. And then when they lost, it took me about an hour and a half to finally wind
down.
Go back to sleep. I was so mad. So mad. I was just like, well, that's the way things go. So, but it was a fun season. The Loons got better, and they put the plan in place, and if everything falls into place for next summer, I'll be able to go down to Alliance Stadium, and I'll get to watch the Loons live. That would be great.
Well, you're going to do a lot of, they had a great article just about the Major League Baseball.
We got so much to catch up on, George. All that stuff that we didn't get to watch.
Yeah, I know it. But they were in the paper. They said today, Bill Veeck is smiling, and
sure.
They bring AAA baseball to St. Paul. And they went through the whole history of St. Paul and Minneapolis fighting over, and they at one time thought they could have 2 major league teams there.
Oh.
And so they had all this thing set up. So this is kind of the best of both worlds. And, you don't have to go far to watch the Twin Kids anymore.
Baseball got a great thing here. I think
they do.
Major League Baseball made some wise decisions in allowing them to do what they need to do. So.
People really don't appreciate the quality of minor league baseball, just how much fun it is. It's actually in many ways more fun than major league because you didn't have to put a couple $100 out for tickets, and people are having a good time. I enjoy. I went to one in Memphis, the Memphis Redbirds and the Iowa Cubs, and the people there were just unbelievable. Yeah. So you can have a good time. No, that should work out real well.
Looking forward to it. Announced this week, the NHL is looking to get started about January 13th, 14th, 15th in there. So the Wild should be a lot of fun to watch. We'll see what things do there. I don't know if you saw this about what the new conferences or divisions, I guess. So they made the thought that all the Canadian teams will play in one division, and they'll just play in that division. And then Minnesota would actually get stuck in with Chicago, and Detroit and Nashville and the Florida teams. And so that would, to me, would go over great. And a lot of games at 6:30, 6:30. And you don't have to stay up late like going out to the West Coast.
Yeah, Vancouver games can kill you.
So it'll be interesting to see if the NHL decides to stick with that. Again, I'm not saying that the Wild are going to be, earth-shattering good, but we'll see what the new kid can do, what the kid from Russia can do, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, they got some good-looking young guys out there, and they had one that showed a picture of him carrying the puck down the rink, and he had a smile on his face. I like hockey players that smile when they're carrying the puck. It means that they know what to do with it.
Well, that leads us, I think, into college hockey, and of course, the NCHC doing their thing.
They are.
I'm watching Denver and Miami. That's a beautiful drop pass and a better save by the goaltender. It's been great. Denver is in the top 10. North Dakota's in the top 10. UMD's in the top 10. And of course, tonight, UMD plays North Dakota, number 1 versus number 3. It ought to be a dandy.
Well, didn't Denver beat North Dakota just the other night?
Denver beat North Dakota the other night.
And Minnesota has beaten Denver.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I think those 3 teams are all going to be right there. They'll be there at the end. All 3 of those teams should make the top 16 fairly easily. So they're just jockeying for position right now. And of course, the UMD as I mentioned, plays UMD tonight, and then they play twice over the weekend. So they play 3 games in 4 days. So they're really getting the best. And
Is that UMD game on? Is that UMD game on TV tonight?
A game is on Sports Network 33.
Okay.
So if you've got cable TV, you should be able to watch it. And then the Dogs play Denver on Saturday afternoon and Colorado College on Sunday afternoon. So the college hockey's been fun to watch. And of course, I would be unfair if I didn't talk about the great start that the Gopher men's hockey team has had.
They are rocking them. They're racking them up.
And everybody's all the Gopher fans are coming out of the woodwork. And
they are. It's been a while
on Twitter and Facebook. And how good are we? And I want to tell them, you play in the Big Ten, you don't have a good hockey team. No, I think the Gophers, Motzko has kind of got the thing going there. And I had a chance to talk to your neighbor the other day, Mr. Raboyne, and he had stopped by the school, and I found out he's going to be long-term subbing for one of the teachers.
Yes, really? Good.
He's going to be long-term subbing. So we had a chance to talk, and we talked about his boy Garrett, and of course Mr. Gordon down there with the Gophers and doing things, and so kind of exciting to see those guys doing well.
Yeah, Bronco hockey has such an extension, and it goes so wide, so deep. I mean, there's coaches and just hockey characters that have come out from here, and their sons. And I'm thinking of the Cullen boys and Raboynes, and all they leave from here, former Broncos. Their kids just do great things. So yeah, you're always happy for the children of the children.
Absolutely. So.
Yeah.
Obviously, the college hockey, the pod down in Omaha runs through the 20th, so that'll keep us busy for another week and a half or so. And then the Gophers actually play at home, or the Bulldogs play at home on January 2nd, and I'm waiting for them to tell me, we've got a seat for you. Come on down. And I know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think they will, but they should. I do know that.
So let's see. Oh, I'm looking at my notes here, and we forgot to mention one thing in Major League Baseball. It sounds like the DH is going to be American League only.
Oh, really?
So that's probably good news for the Twins that
it
have
is
the opportunity to bring your man back.
Because Nelson was going to go put his bid out there, and if the National League teams needed a designated hitter, they might be interested. In fact, they'd be crazy if they weren't.
Yeah. So I think the Twins got some good news there. So. I want to we're going to end this bad boy with football, right? So I'm going to make a couple of high school comments here, if I might. Jack Maxwell.
Jack, he's done
some
good.
Great news this week. Was named to the All-State Academic Team for Class 2A football. So congratulations to Jack. Well-deserved I know I'm maybe talking out of turn a little bit here, but Jack was thinking about not playing football this fall, and especially if it had gone into the spring. And Jack, he did some good things. He really stepped up this year and did some good things. You maybe didn't see him in the stats because he's a lineman and that kind of thing, but he's an outstanding student. He's a better kid, and this honor was well deserved. So congratulations to Jack on his accomplishments.
I just want to comment in there. The last football game that he played, I had an opportunity to talk to his mother, who I knew as a student at Falls High School, and I was just saying, how well Jack had done on the football field, and she says, George, he is working so hard in the classroom. He is doing the schoolwork so intently and working so hard. He wants to be an engineer and he wants to do this and he wants to do that. Jack Maxwell, I mean, pole vaulter, come on, they are a strange breed. And so these are the people that set standards, set the bar, literally. And Jack Maxwell's that kind of Bronco, no doubt about it.
He's applying to Cal Poly.
Poly.
Yeah. So he's looking big, and hey, why not? He can do it. And then the other big news for the Bronco football team was Cody Jansen was named lineman of the year for the Northeast White Division. So that would include teams like Two Harbors and all the teams that we played this year, minus Moose Lake, Willow River. So he was named lineman of the year. So congratulations to Cody on that honor. I know a few years ago they started naming an offensive player of the year, a defensive player, a lineman, and a special teams guy. And so congratulations to Cody on that.
Yeah, no, I tell you, I thought that Bronco line was going to have an issue this year, but boy, guys like Cody and Jack, they stepped in, and by the end of the year, they had a real fine line. So yeah, good boys.
You want to talk college football or you want to talk pro football? We better talk pro football. You want to end with college, right?
Well, yeah, we can end with college. Let's talk a little bit about pros here. This week, I saw on Monday, there was Washington and Pittsburgh. Washington beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh dropped that 11-0 thing, and actually they deserved. They did not look well. And then Buffalo just beat the heck out of San Francisco, Tim. And then Baltimore kind of zoomed all over Dallas, which I know would break your heart. But those were the games, and there's going to be Los Angeles and the Patriots. Now, the reason I want to bring up that's they playing tonight. Gunnar Oslazewski.
Yeah. Bemidji boy.
Last week, he ran a punt back for a touchdown and had a 38-yard pass reception for a touchdown. And the week before, he ran a punt back for a touchdown, and they called it back for a penalty. But no, he had himself a real good day. And I'll tell you, I have a friend in Boston. He says, how did Gunnar make this team? And he says, he's the toughest kid on the special squads. He's just tough. And I think that when you took a look at his resume from Bemidji State, that's pretty much what they said there too. So, if you have the will, you don't necessarily have the speed or the size. And, but Oslazewski is, he's a tough kid and deserves this. Nice job.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Watching for him.
So I assume you watched the Vikings on Sunday.
Every play.
I listened to parts of it as I was traveling, and I got to listen and have somebody watch. I was on the phone while I was parked in a parking lot, and I got to sort of watch and listen to PA and Pete talk about the Vikings the last few minutes of regulation and the overtime period. And I don't know what was kind of picture is being painted on TV, but I know on the radio that PA and Pete weren't very happy campers.
Oh no, the first half was just horrible. And there were so many just stupid, silly mistakes, and offensively they couldn't get anything going, no rhythm whatsoever. But I'm going to, in terms of that, I don't think Jacksonville is as bad a team as its record indicates. And they
Okay.
had tough breaks in the beginning, and there were some people that were now just coming back, and they played pretty well. And so I wasn't when they saw that, and I I listened to Stephen A. in the morning, so
Yeah.
and the rest of them, and I'm not so sure that Jacksonville was as bad a team as its record indicated. So that might have been, but for the most part, at the end of that game, there was no celebrating, and there shouldn't have been.
The thing, well, there's a bunch of things about the game that I would like to discuss, but the first one was, as I was listening to the game, they were talking about the blitzes that Jacksonville was putting on the team, and that we weren't doing a good job of picking them up. And Pete was saying, we're not finding the hot receiver, meaning blaming Kirk Cousins, and not really blaming the line, but maybe that the running backs weren't picking up somebody. The radio made it sound really bad. Well, then if you read the paper, they asked Mike Zimmer how he thought Cousins did against the blitz, because Tampa Bay is coming up and they like to blitz a lot.
A lot.
And so the thing about that is he said that Kirk Cousins was 6 for 14 for like 83 yards against the blitz. And I'm kind of like, that's not very good. That's less than 50%. You got to make the team pay for blitzing. And so 6
Yes,
for
you
14
do.
is okay. But if Tampa Bay's coming in, they blitz, what did it say? Like 40% of the time?
They're on you every day, and their offense and their defensive line, they come at you hard too. They have a strong rush, and they're
I'm scared.
going to those up.
I'm scared.
And you should be. And on top of that, I mean, there's two concerns that you should have. Number one, can Brady pick apart our secondary? Who's in the secondary?
Yeah.
And the other one is, are they going to be able to hold back the blitz? And when I take a look at this, I says offensively, the Bucs are rated 7th in the league and are probably the best the Vikings have faced since Indianapolis. And we know what happened in Indianapolis. They are particularly adept at controlling the run, allowing 3.3 yards a carry. That's tops in the league. The key is their front. They play the run well and bring on a strong sacks. Now, Nadada Kukong Su is on there.
Okay.
And he is
I did not know that Adamagan Su played for the Bucs, but he would seem to fit in there, yeah.
Yes, he would. And I don't know as you recall, but he's not the nicest guy on the field.
It's not.
No. And so, I said the line includes Sue, not to be known to be very nice, kind of look upon him as a villain in a melodrama. So when he comes out, oh, boo, you can shake and rattle him and do all the rest of it. I wouldn't do that in person because you'll step on your head. But I mean, he's incredibly intense on the field, and he has 3 other compadres there. They like to run 2 tackles right over the guards. They play just classic football, and Sue's one of those guys on the guard. So it's going to be a tough go. Tampa Bay is a pretty good football team, and they're going to get better. They got a bunch of receivers, some of your favorite.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens. It's going to be a tough go on Sunday, and but after the way they played the last 2 weeks, you would think that we would have to play better, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm going to tell you the other thing is that Brady, okay, he's 43 now, and they say his arm is really strong, but he was never a long ball thrower anyway. He had all these guys doing cross patterns and whatnot, so, but inside the 20, he's still the best there is. He has run 3 quarterback sneaks for touchdowns at 23. That's impressive to me. And the fact that he's got good running backs, he's got a ton of receivers, and he's got big Gronk to help him over the tough spots. If the Vikings can beat these guys, they're well on their way. And if they want to be in the playoffs, they got to beat teams like this.
Absolutely. What you kind of mentioned what you thought of the Pittsburgh debacle the other night.
Yeah.
Were you as shocked as I was?
Yeah, I really was. I thought that, I mean, they got behind and never were able to catch up. And Big Ben was taking some smacks like, even Big Ben can't take all the time. So, but it was a good football game, but Washington seems to be coming on their own a little bit, and they have some talent too. All these young quarterbacks. For instance, Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's not on the bench anymore, and when he came out against who the heck did they play?
Yeah, I know. I can't remember.
Philadelphia. When he came out with Philadelphia, and they put our buddy
Carson Wentz
bench. Well, all of a sudden they started performing, and he is another one of those quarterbacks that can run, throw, pitch, dive, chuck, do all kinds of weird stuff. And these athletic quarterbacks, they're a lot of fun to watch, and they can bring some life to your team. And like Baker Mayfield too, he had a really good weekend.
Had a pretty good weekend. I probably will have to admit that Cleveland's going to make the playoffs, and maybe they'll have a chance to even win a game, but kind of scary. So
it is kind of scary.
I want to go back to Pittsburgh for a second.
Sure.
Is it good that they lost? Does it give them a better chance to make a trip to the Super Bowl?
Well, I don't know if it does or not, but I'll tell you, you can't have a perfect season and lose a game. So, I was kind of pulling here. Maybe this could be one of the great teams. You're 11-0, but the fact of it is there's some really good football teams out there, and there's 6 or 8 of them that can really knock you upside the head. And it just happens that you have to be aware of those teams.
I think the biggest thing about the loss is that they possibly could lose a chance to have the home field advantage, meaning to get to play at home rather than having to go to Kansas City. That would be and I'm not pulling for Pittsburgh. You know how I feel about the Steelers, but the loss, I think, is a good thing to help them to refocus themselves. But at the same time, if they lose the home field, that would be tough.
Well, right now the Vikings are rated 7th. They have 7 teams make the playoffs. And there's, if all of a sudden they fall apart against Tampa Bay, that's going to push them back at least a game. And we can't expect them to win every game of the season. That's not going to happen. Tampa Bay can lose a couple of them and still probably make the playoffs. So this run for the playoffs is still going to go. Washington can make the playoffs. New York could make the playoffs.
Yeah, that was New York beating Seattle was kind of a shocker.
It was, and actually Seattle. What are they? Are they second in their conference now?
They're second in the division. Yeah, and they. What did I see? They've after starting 5-0, they were what 3-4.
3-4, yeah,
something like that. So
yeah.
makes things.
They've lost a few.
So
no, and
anything else NFL you'd like to discuss?
Let's just see here. Go through my list. No, I think that does it.
Okay. Well, let's move on to college football. Let's the Gophers get to play.
Michigan-Ohio State game this week. The game of games. No, that's
they saved Michigan some embarrassment because that's what
they did, and they saved Ohio State and the Big Ten some embarrassment by changing their rules today or yesterday. But Tim, I'm going to tell you,
I don't agree with it.
I heard this number today. If the Big Ten had 2 teams in the finals, okay, just for whatever reason, they get $12 million a team for everybody that's in the top 4. You just can't pass that by without me saying there's got to be a money involvement here.
So what you're saying is that they made this decision based solely on money.
Yeah, I think they are. I think, and it might be that, and I think that's kind of where Chalcheski has a point, and yet he's a hypocrite because they've been scraping cream off that kettle for a long time. And, and so right now schools are kind of hurting for dough, and the U is getting all kinds of beatings down there for cutting programs, and a lot of people just out and out mad at the Gophers. So, I'm not sure that the money is, I'm not sure that they can go without it.
Would the Big Ten championship game been considered a farce if Ohio State wasn't playing in it?
Yeah.
See, to me, that's got to be part of the discussion.
Well, it
I don't
is.
like the fact that they started with a set of rules and then they went away from it. I don't like that. And everybody was supposed to play by the rules and et cetera, et cetera. And then we get to the end and we know Ohio State's the best team, so we got to change our rules. Well, that's kind of like going into a season and saying, well, okay, Ohio State, we don't really want you to have to play Penn State because you might lose, or Michigan, you might lose. We want to make sure that you're in the.
Well, that's true, but there were an awful lot of unknowns. There's a lot of unknowns going into this. And I think if you took a vote of all the coaches in the Big Ten, Ohio State would be the one that's going. And I watched them play last week, and I tell you, I don't think they had a starter on their offensive line. They had one guy that came down, hadn't played center in a couple years, and he was their center man, and they were hammering him. They just have a very, very good football team, and I have not seen a better one in the Big Ten, and I suspect you haven't either.
No, yeah, they're the best team. You're right. You can't afford, the schools need the money. They aren't going to pass it up, and they find a way to get Ohio State into that Final Four and give them a chance against Clemson or whoever's going to be number one. You got to give them a chance. So
the one school that spends more money per athlete than any other school is Ohio State. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, so this weekend, no Ohio State, Michigan. The Gophers coming back after 2 weeks off. They get to play at Nebraska. I'm going to be very disappointed if we lose in Nebraska.
Well, I will too, but I'm going to tell you, right now, there's a couple of things. Nebraska's looking for back-to-back wins here. They've improved their run defense. Purdue had -2 yards. Purdue ran 125 yards against the Gophers. Okay, just Adrian Martinez is ranked 2nd in the Big Ten, and he's just coming on, and he's 8th nationally. This could be the best team that Nebraska's put out this year, and that's kind of what's scary on that.
I don't want to admit that Nebraska might be good, though. Is that okay?
Well, I don't either, but what can I say? They've consistent talent for more than a little bit. So anyway, I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to watch it close. Saturday is going to be incredible. College game day, which is going to be at West Point, and these guys start at 11, and the other game starts at 2. My butt will be real sore by supper time. So it's
I'm interested in Wisconsin and Iowa.
It should be an interesting game. Yes.
I'm kind of looking forward to that one. That might be on the second TV if I have a, like you said, Army Navy on one and Wisconsin Iowa on the other one. I think they're about the same time frame. So we'll see what happens.
Well, in the old days, the Army Navy game was the last Division I football game. Now they've all extended. So the Army Navy on the 12th, on the 17th, Army plays Air Force. That's never happened before. And I'm wondering, do you think Minnesota and Wisconsin might try to make up their game for the Axe on the 17th?
Nope.
No, huh?
No, I don't think. Well, I'm not saying the Big Ten won't change their mind. It's not like they haven't done it recently, but that would be the best thing they could do. But you would think if they were going to do that, that would have been decided yesterday when they had the big meeting. So no, I don't think it's going to happen.
I just want to make one other point about last Saturday. Carolina Coast Chanticleers. Boy, I'm telling you, that rooster was crowing in the barnyard that afternoon. They took BYU apart. Well, they didn't, but they beat them, and they beat a very good football team. And all of a sudden, people are looking up Jeffrey Chaucer to see what a Chanticleer is, and they are undefeated. I'm
getting no love from the pollsters.
yeah.
They didn't make the top 25 again. It said. I was like, what? Yeah, anyway, we'll see what happens. It's part of their schedule, but beating BYU got a lot of people to shut up about how good BYU might be. And then they said, hey, if you're going to say BYU is good, look what we just did. So,
yeah, and I'm going to say this about BYU. They give them the opportunity 3 days ahead of time, and they said, sure, we'll go into an undefeated school, travel to take the trip. We'll go over and we'll do this, and they put it on the line. I got to give a lot of credit to BYU
absolutely
for doing that. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So hey, there's some good football to be watched.
So I assume that obviously we know you're pulling for Army on Saturday, but do they got a chance against Navy? What's the scoop?
And in fact, I'm reading some naval history books right now, and I'm conversing with a lot of sailor friends of mine. I knew a lot of guys that were in the Navy, and I knew some were career people. And so I wear my Army shirt. I said to Sue, I says, do you think I wear the shirt just to upset them? And she says, no, you are pulling for Army, because that's what she would pull for. Yeah, I'm pulling for Army. Army took it on the chin last year, and they're coming back, and they've got a team that's so close in terms of philosophies with Navy that you don't know which team you're watching. If you switch uniforms, they could run the same offenses,
sure,
and actually mostly for the same defenses. But right now, Army's got a couple of linebackers on defense that are crunching people. And they've had that in years past. Last year, not so much. But they got a couple of linebackers, and then they have my favorite fullback is let me see, number 35. Anyway, he's 6 foot tall. He's 260 pounds, and he is really, really pieced together. Buchanan. Oh, I lost my roster. Can't believe that. Oh, there it is. Jacoby Buchanan. He's a sophomore from St. Charles, Missouri, and he is just a chunk. Now, I tell you, and you know this, you run triple offense, you have to have triple options, you have to have a fullback. Otherwise, it don't work so well. Army will run and give the ball to about 6 of them. Navy will give them away to 3 or 4. But Army is going to go 75% of the time, they're going to give the ball directly to the fullback, and he's going to pick up 3 yards. I know that's what they're going to do. Navy knows that's what they're going to do. You know that's what they're going to do. That's just the way they play the game. And so we're going to see, this is just going to be old-time smash mouth football. The game itself is going to be played at Michie Field, and this is the first time it's been there since 1943. And yeah. And so this is now this year in 1943, by the way, Navy won 13-0. This year, the uniforms, every time Army plays, they put an insignia on their shoulder indicating one of the divisions in the Army. And this year it'll be the 25th division, and it's a kind of an orange with an arrow and a lightning in the middle, and that's from the 25th, the Lightning Division. They've been called a lot of things, very famous in World War II. If you're a soldier, you call it the Electric Strawberry. So they'll have the Electric Strawberry on one patch, and one of the regiments from this division, the 27th Regiment, was the Wolfhounds, and the Wolfhound Division is a patch with this great wolfhound. The other one, they were quite a fighting group in Korea and in Vietnam. But the Wolfhounds and the 25th Division. Now get this, the Navy is also going to do something to indicate their past. Their helmet is going to be resemble a marble stone reminiscent of the crypt that holds John Paul Jones. You can't get much more Navy than that. And so, you know, and then, like I say, I've been communicating with some of my Navy friends, and they sent me, one guy sent me a beautiful story about PT boats in the Pacific. And I've been reading these books. I mean, William Halsey played Navy football. Admiral Gromley from the South Pacific played Navy football. And then I take a look, Eisenhower played Army football. Patton played Army football. Omar Bradley and Lucian Trescott all played Army football. These guys were football players long before they were good soldiers. And then you think, you know, not like Roger Staubach or Joe Bellini. I mean, these guys are all famous people. So I'll tell you, as far as I know, nobody has stole the goat, and all the mules are in proper place. And so they're all going to go Michie Field and at West Point's first time since 43. And at that time they did there because it was a war effort, and they didn't want to, if anybody wanted to do a lot of damage, they could have done it in Philadelphia. So they're all going to go there. And I think it's going to be a great day. It should be a great game. You know, I think it's America's game. And if Army doesn't win, I want Navy to. So it just goes. But that being said, you know, go Army.
Go Army.
Beat Navy. And I say that to my friend Welcome, because he sent in the message, go Navy, beat Army. And I thought, oh, I'm not going to be like that.
That's the way it goes.
That's the way it goes.
Is it obit time?
I only have one obit.
Yeah.
And that's and he wasn't really an athlete, known for an athlete, but I was thinking of Chuck Yeager. Chuck Yeager, just an incredible man. I mean, a real live American from West Virginia. They said when he left West Virginia and was going to school and learning to be a pilot, nobody could even understand his accent. Was from the woods and was from it was that rustic. He never went to college, barely finished high school. But the only thing he had was a genius for flying, and he was in World War II and shot down 12 German fighters, including the ME-262, which was the first fighter jet. Okay. And he said, "How did you shoot those down?" He says, "Oh, I waited till they were landing." He says, "I know it wasn't really fair, but what the hell?" And I mean, he did this and fought in Korea, fought in Vietnam. This guy lived and flew by the seat of his pants. But one other story, that we had a guy in the band of brothers. His name was Shifty Powers. Shifty was the sniper for Easy Company of the famed Band of Brothers. And he was walking on an airplane. He had his Band of Brothers hat on, and this guy stopped. He walked through first class and sat in the seat, and the guy came out of first class, and he said, "Sir, you do me the honor of taking my seat." And Shifty went and took his seat. The man that gave it to him was Chuck Yeager. So this guy was the real deal. And when I saw that, you just think, heroes from your youth. Yeah, this guy will do. This guy will do.
Yeah, Ray Perkins passed away yesterday.
Ray Perkins passed, yes.
New York Giants and Alabama and other places along the way. And of course, played for the Colts.
Played for the Colts.
So a little before my time as a player, but as a coach, he was there. And so, it seems like I thought we were going to get this show in without having somebody pass away, but we just couldn't pull it off.
No, and it's just, you know, when you hear things about Dick Allen and some of the rest of these guys, I mean, these were old time super athletes, you know, and you think about these guys, you know, reading in Frank Husso's book, he says, when we went to summer camp, we had to get in shape. We were not physically fit enough to play in a professional football game. Now athletes, they pretty much train all year long, and they, they have such contracts that they don't have to have a second job and stuff like that. But you watch these athletes, from the old days, just come out, and it was raw athleticism against raw athleticism. The weight room really didn't have a lot to do with it. And,
True.
and now it's kind of a different deal, but you kind of miss those old timers.
For sure. Anything else?
I don't think so. I'm just pulling for Jacoby Buchanan and Army, and it's going to be a good Saturday.
All right. That sounds good. We will.
Hey, everybody, I want everybody out there, hey, take care. We're going to go through the next few weeks, and it might get a little bleak, but we still got some sports to cover, and and do the right thing. Stay healthy. That's you too, big guy.
I tried to. We'll try to. We'll talk to everybody soon. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.